And also hello to...
Hadley.
There you go.
It's mainly Evan.
Stop being a bully then.
See, now Hadley gets to hear you losing points. That might have brought her some joy. If you listen carefully, you can hear Hadley giggling at home. There it is. It depends on the kid. Anywhere from like 3 to 12. Back to you guys. We are going to do a non-fiction article thing tomorrow. We're going to get a chance to. I figure it's be a fun-ish way to end a Friday. We'll have a short homework assignment with it and talkie time to go along with it too. The article I found. I found an article that popped up on my feed about a 51-year-old man who punches out an 11-year-old girl.
That's awesome.
So we're going to get into I know that would be a 48-year young man who happened to stab a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. I don't know. Who knows how many people I've stabbed? Theoretically have stabbed over the years. But we'll get to the article and don't tell anyone. But I also found a YouTube video of the event happening. And so we're even going to get a chance to watch it and talk about it.
A child?
We get to see it happen.
I know, and talk about it. It's going to be great.
Awesome, Mr. Brovicast.
So we have this thing, just one kid left. The other kid who turned it in, go you. It's now up on Skyward.
Good job,
And
Luke.
then other kid, someday it'll be up on Skyward.
Lucas.
And then to you guys, I am, even though people have made fun of my old person humor, old person lingo, low-key excited about the reading today. We are going to get to my favorite character and my favorite scene in just a moment. And we'll talk about it here. Wait, out of curiosity, has anyone read Chapter 6?
No.
Elena read the whole book.
All right.
Elena
I know you finished.
Hadley.
Curious to see if you'll be able to predict as we get to what my favorite person in Chapter 6 is.
Someone's gonna die.
David.
So we have church.
David.
For the poem, what is the meaning of the poem?
Everything dies.
What does gold mean?
Goodness.
There you go. Your goodness, your happiness. Everybody has their own thing that brings them joy. For some of you, it's attacking poor Finfo on a daily basis, and that is your gold. And realize, your gold can't stay. Come May, you might no longer have a class with Finfo. And when you're in 8th grade, and you're like, oh no, this kid, Finley's not here to attack. And now all of a sudden, this year you have to hold on to your attacking of poor Finfo. Maybe your gold is being put out in the hallway because struggling to get homework to get done. And next year you won't have teachers that love you enough to kick you out in the hallway. And they'll just let you fail. And so you have to have that. Or maybe your goal is spending your points trying to make faces at a kid in the hallway and hoping the teacher doesn't catch on to you losing so many points. Who knows what your goal may be? For others of you, your goal may be watching those kids make the poor choices. And you get to sit there and go, those aren't my points. And you get to sit there. We all have our goal. My goal is making fun of every single one of you. And someday that'll be gone and I'll be sad. Hi, Henry.
My goal.
You do something. And then, let's see. We got to the heater that Dally carries, and what do we know about the heater? That was something we'll get to. Not today, but we'll get to. And then, Chapter 6. This is where we started reading. Oh, we had just gotten to the part where Johnny made a big decision, which was... he's going to turn himself in, and I need to pull out the correct book.
That's not okay.
He's gonna rat out Pony.
Well, I don't know. That's kind of up to Pony Boy. I guess he could rat him out, but
He's gonna rat him out.
maybe he doesn't want to get stitches. There's Dally's T-Bird that they're all sitting in. Oh yeah, and what restaurant are they currently sitting at?
Driving.
Dairy Queen.
It wasn't Dally's. It was the other guy.
It's Buck's, but Dally's driving it right now. You are correct. It belonged to Buck. I just put Dally's the one that was doing the driving. So we're on page 87, and so we're getting close to the fun bits. I'll try not to smile the entire time. All right. I got a good chance of being let off easy, Johnny said desperately. But I didn't know if it was Dally he was trying to convince, or himself. I ain't got no record with the fuzz, and it was self-defense. Ponyboy and Cherry can testify to that. And I don't aim to stay in that church all my life. That was quite a speech for Johnny. His big black eyes grew bigger than ever at the thought of going to the police station. For Johnny had a deathly fear of cops. But he went on. We won't tell that you helped us, Dally, and we'll give you back the gun and what's left of the money, and say we hitchhiked back so you won't get into trouble, okay? Dally was chewing the corner of his ID card, which gave his age as 21 so he could buy liquor. You sure you want to go back? Us greasers will get it worse than anyone else. Johnny nodded. I'm sure. It ain't fair for Ponyboy to have to stay up in that church with dairy and soda worrying about him all the time. I don't guess. He swallowed and tried not to look eager. I don't guess my parents are worried about me or anything. The boys are worried, Dally said in a matter-of-fact voice. Two-Bit was going to go to Texas to hunt for you. My parents. Did they ask about me? No, snapped Dally. They didn't. Blast it, Johnny, what do they matter? Shoot, my old man don't give a hang whether I'm in jail or dead in a car wreck or drunk in the gutter. That don't bother me none. Johnny didn't say anything, but he stared at the dashboard with such hurt bewilderment that I could bawl. Dally cussed under his breath and nearly tore out the transmission of the T-Bird as we roared out of the Dairy Queen. I felt sorry for Dally. He meant it when he said he didn't care about his parents. But he and the rest of the gang knew Johnny cared and did everything they could to make it up to him. I don't know what it was about Johnny. Maybe that lost puppy look and those big scared eyes, or what made everyone his big brother, but they couldn't, no matter how hard they tried, to take the place of his parents. I thought about it for a minute. Dairy and Soda Pop were my brothers, and I loved both of them, even if Dairy did scare me. But not even Soda could take Mom and Dad's place, and they were my real brothers, not just sort of adopted ones. There's no wonder Johnny was hurt because his parents didn't want him. Dally could take it. Dally is one of the breed that could take anything because he was hard and tough, and when he wasn't, he could turn hard and tough. Johnny was a good fighter and could play it cool, but he was sensitive, and that isn't a good way to be when you're a greaser. Blast it, Johnny! Dally growled as we flew along the red road. Why didn't you think of turning yourself in 5 days ago? Would have saved a lot of trouble. I was scared, Johnny said with conviction. I still am. He ran his finger down one of his short black sideburns. I guess we ruined our hair for nothing, Ponyboy. I guess so. I was glad we were going back. I was sick of that church. I didn't care if I was bald. Dally was scowling, and from long and painful experience, I knew better than to talk to him. His eyes were blazing like that. I'd likely as not get clobbered over the head. That happened before, just as it happened to all the gang at one time or another. We rarely fought among ourselves. Dairy was the unofficial leader, since he kept his head best. Soda and Steve, having best friends since grade school, never fought, and Two-Bit was just too lazy to argue with anyone. Johnny kept his mouth shut too much to get into arguments, and nobody ever fought with Johnny. I kept my mouth shut too, but Dally was a different matter. If something beeped him, he didn't keep quiet about it, and if you rubbed him the wrong way, look out. Not even Dairy wanted to tangle with him. He was dangerous. Johnny just sat there and stared at his feet. He hated for any one of us to be mad at him. He looked awful. Dally glanced at him out of the corner of his eye. I looked out the window. Johnny, Dally said in a pleading high voice, using a tone I'd never heard from him before. Johnny, I ain't mad at you. I don't want you to get hurt. You don't know what a few months in jail can do to you. Blast it, Johnny. He pushed his white blonde hair back out of his eyes. You get hardened in jail. I don't want that to happen to you like it happened to me. I kept staring out the window at the rapidly passing scenery, but I felt my eyes getting round. Dally never talked like that. Never. Dally didn't give a Yankee dime about anyone but himself, and he was cold and hard and mean. He never talked about his past or being in jail that way. I mean, if he talked about it at all, it was to brag. And I suddenly thought of Dally in jail at the age of 10. Dally growing up in the streets. Would you rather have me living in hideouts the rest of my life? Always on the run? Johnny asked seriously. Now, if Dally had said yes, Johnny would have gone back to the church without hesitation. He figured Dally knew more than he did, and Dally's word was law. But he never heard Dally's answer, for we had reached the top of J Mountain, and Dally suddenly slammed on the brakes and stared. Oh, glory! The church was on fire. Let's go see what the deal is, I said, hopping out. What for? Dally sounded irritated. Get back in here before I beat your head in. I knew Dally would have to park the car and catch me before he could carry out his threat, and Johnny was already out and following me, so I figured I was safe. We could hear him cussing us out, but he wasn't mad enough to come after us. There was a crowd at the front of the church, mostly little kids, and I wondered how they'd gotten there so quickly. I tapped the nearest grown-up. Hey, what's going on? Well, we don't know for sure, the man said with a good-natured grin. We were having a school picnic up here, and the first thing we knew, the place is burning up. Thank goodness this is a wet season and the old thing is worthless anyway. And then to the kids, she shouted, Stand back, children! The firemen will be coming soon. I bet we started it, I said to Johnny. We must have dropped a lighted cigarette or something. About that time, a lady came running up. Jerry, some of the kids are missing. Ah, they're probably around here somewhere. You can't tell with all this excitement where they might be. No, they've been missing for at least a half an hour. I thought they were climbing the hill. Then we all froze, faintly, just faintly. You could hear someone yelling, and it sounded like it was coming from inside the church. The woman went white. I told him not to play in the church. I told him. She looked like she was going to start screaming, so Jerry shook her. I'll get him. Don't worry. I started at a dead run for the church, and the man caught my arm. I'll get him. You kids stay out. I jerked loose and ran on. All I could think was, we started it, we started it, we started it, we started it. I wasn't about to go through that flaming door, so I slammed a big rock through a window and pulled myself in. It was a wonder I didn't cut myself to death, now that I think about it. Hey, Pony Boy! I looked around, startled. I hadn't realized Johnny had been right behind me all the way. I took a deep breath and started coughing. The smoke filled my eyes and they started watering. Is that guy coming? Johnny shook his head. Window stopped him. Too scared? Nah, Johnny gave me a grin. Too fat. I couldn't laugh because I was scared I'd drown in the smoke. The roar and crackling was getting louder, and Johnny shouted the next question. Where's the kids? In the back, I guess, I hollered, and we started stumbling through the church. I should be scared, I thought, with an odd, detached feeling, but I'm not. The cinders and embers began falling on us, stinging and smarting like ants. Suddenly, in the red glow and the haze, I remembered wondering what it was like in a burning ember, and I thought, now I know. It's a red hell. Why aren't I scared? We pushed open the door to the back room and found 4 or 5 little kids, about 8 years old or younger, huddled in a corner. One was screaming his head off, and Johnny yelled, Shut up! We're going to get you out! The kid looked surprised and quit hollering. I blinked myself. Johnny wasn't behaving at all like his old self. He looked over his shoulder and saw that the door was blocked by flames, then pushed open the window and tossed out the nearest kid. I caught one quick look at his face. It was red marked from fallen embers and sweat streaked, but he grinned at me. He wasn't scared either. That was the only time I can think of when I saw him without that defeated, suspicious look in his eyes. He looked like he was having the time of his life. I picked up a kid and he promptly bit me, but I leaned out the window and dropped him as gently as I could, being in a hurry like that. A crowd was there by that time. Dally was standing there, and when he saw me, he screamed, For Pete's sake, get out of there! That roof's going to cave in any minute! Forget them blasted kids! I didn't pay any attention, although pieces of the old roof were crashing down too close for comfort. I snatched up another kid, hoping he didn't bite me, and then dropped him without waiting to see if he landed okay or not. I was coughing so hard I could hardly stand up, and I wished I had time to take off Dally's jacket. It was hot. We dropped the last of the kids out the front of the church, started to crumble. Johnny shoved me toward the window. Get out! I leaped out the window and heard timber crashing and the flames roaring right behind me. I staggered, almost falling, coughing and sobbing for breath. Then I heard Johnny scream, And as I turned to go back for him, Dally swore at me and clubbed me across the back as hard as he could. And I went down into a peaceful darkness. There we pause for a moment. Let's get that for now. So, my favorite character. Give a guess.
Jerry?
It is Jerry. Jerry is my favorite character. So Jerry is the teacher that was out there. Here's why Jerry's my favorite character. Coming up in April, I take you guys for a field trip. Where do I take you guys for a field trip?
A burnt down
No, Camp Tecumseh. I take you guys to this great big old place. We spend 3 days there. It's fun and kids love it. Jerry is also teacher. Where does Jerry take his kids for a field trip?
An old church.
An old abandoned church, which I think is great. Here I am wasting my time taking you guys someplace fun, and I could be taking you guys to a broken down church. Then it gets even better. On top of that, church catches on fire. Woman shows up saying, hey, some of the kids are missing. Does Jerry freak out?
No.
No! Jerry's not bothered at all. His reaction is to shake the woman and go, stop worrying about them kids.
I don't care.
That's high quality teaching right there. You don't worry about those burning kids. Instead, you just go, woman, back off. We got more over there. And so the fact that Jerry does not care about these kids whatsoever, that is good teaching. And so that's what someday I aspire to be, is Jerry, who has his teaching priorities all set up correctly. Lava. I was going to do lawyer and Ava, but then lawyer Ava was way too long, so I'm like, I could just bring it together. Lava, it just worked better in my head. Lava.
Do the kids start the fire with a match?
I don't know for sure. That's my
I
guess.
think it's the alcohol from dyeing their hair.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it the bleach?
Like
So
a
like a
cigarette?
cigarette catch the alcohol?
I'm guessing, yeah, the kids were, like how kids do. They probably had their cigarettes out, and the kids were like in there passing it around, going, hey, here's your ciggy.
Oh, no, I
And you know how little kids are. And then we got to my favorite scene in the book. Now, here's where we get to them in the fire. Here's why it's my favorite scene, to go along with Jerry being my favorite character.
Is the kid video?
One, that's part of it. So one, why does Jerry not follow them into the church?
He's too fat.
So here's where my growing up on cartoons brain comes back to haunt me. There was a cartoon called Winnie the Pooh. And oftentimes, Winnie the Pooh would want to go visit his friend Owl, who lived in a tree. But whenever Winnie the Pooh would try to visit him, he would get stuck and his little feet would be kicking. So this is what I imagined with Jerry. I don't think it's what actually happened, but when I read it, and it was like, he's too fat because the window, I just imagined like Jerry going like, york, and like sticking into it, like Jerry's little feet kicking out. I'm like, that's hilarious. So then we have the fact that they're trying to save the kids. So one, when Ponyboy tries to save a kid and he picks the kid up, what does the kid do? Again, I grew up watching cartoons. So when I see this idea of this kid biting him and him trying to save it, I go back to those cartoon things of like a fish on like the end of the cartoon character's hand, or like they're shaking their hand back and forth like a little fish on the end of it, except instead of a fish, like imagine a child like on the end of the hand and he's like, no! And the little kid's like, and just going back and forth, and like my brain just kicked in. Then it got even better for me, because how do they save these children?
By chucking them out the window.
Do you know how many children I would save if all I had to do was throw you out of windows? I would be going around chucking kids out windows left and right. I'd be like, do you need saved? Like, what? Like, and I would just chuck a kid out a window, and I would get in the paper for saving kids. Now, I know, your worry is, but Mr. Brovicast, there's no windows in this room. How can you save a child here? My thought is, exactly, that's quitter thinking. If I throw you against that wall hard enough times, there's eventually going to be a window, or you don't have to worry about being saved. Either way, I get to win. And so the idea of just chucking kids out windows to save them, I was like, oh, that's how teaching is supposed to go. Info.
I think what's really funny about the sticking his head and it's like stuck is that his head's probably gonna like burn.
That would. That's why I don't think he actually went through the window, because that'd be the deathy bits. But
Lose all of his hair.
still made me smile.
Oh.
Elena.
I was thinking the whole time, like, just throw them out, just go, like, don't go.
Right. No, don't be gentle about it.
And they can't sue you because they're gonna die anyways.
Wait, my thought is also if you pick him up by the feet and you just start going around a couple times and then you just let go, then you don't even have to go over to the window.
That takes too much time.
So don't
Right, true, but and plus you might miss the window.
The children.
Miss the window. And then have to try again. Let me save you again. See again. Oh, teacher dreams. Bella.
You don't understand. You're recording yourself saying that you would love to chuck children.
No, I recorded myself saying I would love to save children.
By chucking them at walls.
That just happened to be how we save them. What's important is that I said the words, I want to save children from burning buildings. Right? That makes me a hero.
Fire alarm.
Lava.
Wait, why don't you save us from each other?
Tempting. All you just say the words, Mr. Brovicast, save me. I'm coming. I'm right there. Saving will begin. There are several of you here I've thought about saving multiple times.
I bet one of them's Noah. He has to sit in front of me. And
Yes, says the kid talking out loud. So now, if in class, instead of say the words, if you hear me say, do you need me to save you?
Yes.
Hi, Caroline.
I changed my mind. I don't need saving.
You're afraid of no. All of a sudden, you're like, he might actually be serious. Like I'm running over there. I'm like, how am I going to save you? Yeah. Also, when they were talking about the end part with the church and the little thing, the beams falling, this is what's on fire, and this is what falls on. So Ponyboy gets out, but then the next person doesn't get out. And so,
Oh, boo.
and
Johnny
so
got
those bits just fell on someone.
Boo Johnny's dead.
So with the, also, one more way of saving kids. I don't know if you caught it, but Ponyboy, when he got out of the church, was on fire and then tried to go back in, but Dally saved him. And how did Dally save him?
By knocking him out.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't. Now, those of you who grew up going through elementary school, if you're on fire, stop, drop, and roll. But apparently, Ponyboy wasn't stop, dropping, and rolling, so Dally, being as helpful as me, decided to help him. And if I ever see one of you on fire, I will go full Dally on you, because he helped him drop by just punching him right in the spine. And then when you punch someone in the spine, they drop. Right there's the stop and the drop, and in the pain, you're like, ah, and there's the rolling. Dally, he's a thinker. So again, if we ever need saving, come to me and make my day, and I will save
What
you.
if you catch on fire? Then does that mean
Then do we
I
get to
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Wow. If only you could see how excited Bella's eyes are right now when she's thinking about the idea of me being on fire.
Save you.
Mr. Brovicast, can I save you?
That's what I need you guys to go home tonight when you're having dinner with your family and just look at them and go, who here needs saving? And then when your younger sister or brother goes, me, go, I got this. And just go over there like, I'm saving you. And just, wow. And then when your parents ground you, you can play this video, and then now we understand. No part of this is legally binding. You can ask my lawyer. She's right over here. Page 90. Oh, apparently there we have to stop.
96.
So,
We have 4 minutes.
no we don't.
Yeah.
All right.
No, we
This is
don't.
okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, why? Oh, we do have till 29, so we do have. We still have 2 minutes, but that's not enough to get back into it. Sadness.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I'm so sad.
Thank you.
I know. The less I read, the more you guys get to read on your own. I feel the same way. Henry.
I was like feeling like responsible like when I read chapter 5.
Yeah, you already liked it.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, there is more exciting stuff happening, so I mean, we're still gonna get to. Ooh, hang on. I gotta check a thing real quick.
Henry, do you like it? Do you like?
Almost, Elena. I gotta check a thing.
Almost.
Do you like to see that?
Okay, no. I want to make sure the next big part's not in there yet. So we don't have another bad part before we
Go to
get
the
to it.
hospital.
No, that was
Henry.
Elena.
Can I leave my iPad here until it's here?
That's fine. I have no problem with that.
Mr. Brovicast?
When they go to
Henry.
the
Oh,
hospital-
bye, dead kids.
Bye, dead kids.